There's a particular kind of tragedy in football that doesn't involve career-ending injuries or sudden retirements. It's quieter, more gradual, but just as devastating. It happens when a player touches greatness at 19 and then slowly begins their descent, not into obscurity necessarily, but into mediocrity, into the realization that their peak came too early and everything since has been a long slide downward. Let's talk about the players who had it all within reach only to watch it slip through their fingers.
Football's more than a game. It's passion, pride, glory. This World Cup season, Goal90 brings you our biggest offer yet. Buy 3 jerseys and get 1 free. That's 4 jerseys for the price of 3. And yes, free worldwide shipping. This is a limited time World Cup special, only until the 10th of May. So move fast. Pick your jerseys. Wear your passion. Own the moment before they're gone. Visit Goal90 Shop. Link in the description.
Ansu Fati was anointed as the chosen one, Barcelona's youngest ever Champions League goalscorer at just 17, the heir to Messi's throne. He even inherited the iconic number 10 shirt, a gesture so symbolic it felt like a coronation. But Fati never got to truly wear that crown. A series of devastating injuries, particularly to his knee, robbed him of the very thing that made him special, his explosiveness. That burst of acceleration, the ability to leave defenders grasping at air, simply vanished. His loan spell at Brighton was nothing short of disastrous, just 2 goals in 19 Premier League appearances. The numbers tell a story of a player searching for something he'll never find again. Monaco offered a fresh start in the summer of 2025, and while he's shown glimpses of improvement this season, the context matters. Barcelona aren't monitoring his progress hoping for a triumphant return. They're actively looking to sell him permanently. The club has moved on. Lamine Yamal now occupies the space Fati was meant to fill, and there's no going back. Then there's the curious case of Alejandro Garnacho, a player who seemed to have the world at his feet at Manchester United. The fearless winger who scored that outrageous overhead kick against Everton, the one who looked destined to become the next great United Academy product. But fast forward to his Chelsea move, and the narrative has shifted dramatically. His debut season at Stamford Bridge has been a masterclass in inconsistency. Just 1 goal and 4 assists in 23 league appearances tells only part of the story. Former manager Liam Rosenior publicly called him out before the Brentford match, questioning whether he was working hard enough to match his teammates' level. That's not the kind of statement you make about a player you're building your future around. The match against his former club Manchester United encapsulated everything wrong. He struggled for impact, was shuttled between flanks desperately trying to find space, and left fans frustrated rather than excited. At 21, Garnacho hasn't developed into the consistent match winner Chelsea thought they were getting. Instead, he's become the player fans don't trust when the stakes are highest, and rumours are already swirling about a potential summer exit. Joao Felix presents perhaps the most baffling case. When Atletico Madrid spent €120 million on a 19-year-old, they weren't just buying a player, they were buying a statement. This was supposed to be the generational talent who would define the next decade of European football. Instead, he's become football's most expensive nomad. Atletico to Chelsea to Barcelona and back again, a carousel of loans that screamed one clear message: nobody wanted to commit. Then came the move to Al Nassr in 2025, and suddenly the puzzle pieces started fitting together in all the wrong ways. Yes, Felix is thriving there, scoring freely alongside Cristiano Ronaldo and even breaking Al Nassr's single-season assist record in the league. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Performing well in a less intense league doesn't validate you. It confirms what Europe's elite clubs already decided. Felix doesn't have a clear position. He doesn't fit high-intensity systems. He's a luxury player in an era where luxury is a liability. His success in Saudi Arabia isn't a redemption arc. It's confirmation that his elite European career is over at just 25 years old. From one Saudi-bound player to another who never quite escaped the wreckage of his Manchester United disaster. Jadon Sancho was untouchable at Borussia Dortmund, posting double-digit goals and assists season after season. United paid £73 million for that brilliance and somehow managed to drain every ounce of it away. The public fallout with Erik ten Hag, the exile, the rescue loan back to Dortmund that rekindled hope, all of it led to another fresh start at Chelsea, where he scored in the Conference League final. But Chelsea paid £5 million just to avoid signing him permanently. That's how far his stock had fallen. Now at Aston Villa on loan, Sancho has managed no goals and 2 assists in over 20 league appearances. He hasn't started a single Premier League match. Manchester United are reportedly willing to let him leave for free rather than continue paying his wages. At 25, a player who was once compared to the very best is now surplus to requirements everywhere he goes, and no elite club is interested in changing that. Speaking of players whose careers have stalled, Mykhailo Mudryk might have the most tragic tale of all. Chelsea spent £88 million to beat Arsenal to his signature, convinced his raw speed and potential would unlock their attack. Instead, they got inconsistency, a player who still plays like an unpolished prospect rather than a refined weapon. Then came the devastating blow in 2024, a failed drugs test. Mudryk tested positive for meldonium, a banned substance that aids stamina and respiratory capacity. He's maintained his innocence, insisting he's never knowingly taken banned substances, but the Football Association handed him a 4-year ban in early 2026. He's appealing to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, but even if successful, he's already been sidelined for 18 months. His last match for Chelsea was in November 2024. At 25, even if his ban is reduced, he's lost crucial development years, his reputation is in tatters, and any momentum he had built has completely evaporated. Chelsea will almost certainly look to move him on, and it won't be to another top club. Callum Hudson-Odoi is the one who stayed behind while everyone else moved forward. Remember when Bayern Munich was relentlessly pursuing him? When Chelsea fans were begging the club to tie him down because he looked like the next big English talent? That was 2019. Today, he is a perfectly respectable Premier League player at Nottingham Forest, where he's contributed 3 goals and 4 assists this season. He's settled, he's playing regularly, and by all accounts he's doing fine. But fine isn't what anyone envisioned when he was breaking through at Chelsea. He's lost that explosive quality that made him special. His development stalled in West London, and while players like Anthony Elanga have found bigger roles and continued progressing, Hudson-Odoi has found his ceiling. Forest extended his contract until 2028, which tells you everything. This is his level now. There are no elite clubs circling, no transfer speculation linking him to bigger stages. At 25, he's living proof that staying at the wrong place too long can cost you the career you should have had. Finally, we arrive at Jhon Duran. Just over a year ago, this Colombian striker was being linked with Real Madrid, Arsenal and Bayern Munich. His super sub performances for Aston Villa in the first half of the 2024-25 season had made him one of Europe's most exciting young forwards. Then, he made a choice that changed everything. In 2025, Duran picked money over prestige and joined Al Nassr. He started brightly with 4 goals in his first 2 matches, but then the wheels came off spectacularly. Reports emerged that he wasn't even living in Riyadh, allegedly taking daily 80-minute flights from Bahrain to avoid Saudi Arabia's strict laws. Al Nassr denied it as fake news, but the damage was done. A loan to Fenerbahce followed just a few months later, where he managed 5 goals in 21 appearances amid reports of attitude problems and mental struggles. Then, in early 2026, came the most bewildering move yet. Duran joined Russian side Zenit St. Petersburg on loan. At just 22, he's now at his 6th club, playing in a league banned from UEFA competition and barely broadcast across Europe. He hasn't represented Colombia since June 2025. The path from Villa Park to St. Petersburg isn't progression, it's obscurity. Duran's decisions haven't just derailed his elite trajectory, they may have destroyed it entirely before it even truly began. These 7 careers stand as stark reminders that talent alone isn't enough. Timing, decisions, resilience, and sometimes just sheer luck determine whether you reach the summit or spend the rest of your career looking up at it from a distance you can never quite close. Do you think we left anyone off the list? Let us know in the comments. Remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to turn on post notifications so that you never miss out on any new videos. See you next time. Bye.